You know, most people don't struggle because they don't know what to do. They struggle because they feel like they should know by now. And that idea has been sitting with me. I've been thinking about Socrates, the guy who spent most of his life asking questions and making people slightly uncomfortable in ordinary conversations. He's famous for saying, "I know that I know nothing." And I don't think he meant it in a self-deprecating way. I think he meant it as relief. There's a lot of pressure, especially as you get older, to sound like you know what you're doing. At work, you're expected to have a clear opinion. In relationships, you're expected to know what you want. And in life, you're expected to have some kind of direction. So we give clean answers. Answers that sound confident. Answers that make sense. Even when internally, we're still thinking things through. Socrates noticed that this gap between what we say and what we actually feel is where a lot of quiet stress comes from. Think about the last time someone asked you, "So what's your plan?" Maybe you answered smoothly, but afterward, you replay the conversation in your head. Not because you lied, but because the answer felt incomplete. Socrates would say that discomfort isn't a problem. It's honesty, showing up late. Not knowing feels risky. It can look like weakness, like incompetence, like falling behind. But Socrates believed the opposite. He thought pretending to know was more dangerous than admitting uncertainty. Because once you decide you're already sure, you stop asking better questions. In real life, that shows up quietly. Staying in jobs that no longer fit because you once told yourself they did. Holding on to opinions that don't quite reflect who you are anymore. And making choices based on past versions of yourself instead of checking in with who you are now. Socrates didn't teach by giving answers. He taught by slowing conversations down. He'd ask things like, "Why do you think that? Where did that belief come from? Does this actually make your life better?" Not to corner people, just to interrupt autopilot. I've been trying to do that more, not rushing to clarity, not forcing decisions too early, just letting questions stay open a little longer than feels comfortable. This matters in relationships too. Sometimes we stay in familiar dynamics because we don't fully understand what we want. And instead of admitting that, we tell ourselves stories. This is just how relationships are, or "I'm just bad at this," or "this is fine." Socrates would probably ask, "Is it fine? Or is it just familiar?" Not knowing what you want doesn't mean you're behind. It often means you're paying attention. Socrates makes me rethink what progress means. Progress doesn't always look like certainty. Sometimes it looks like asking better questions, quieter questions, more honest ones, the kind you don't post online, the kind you don't say out loud right away. So here's a thought I've been ending the day with. If there's an area of your life where you feel unsure or unsettled, maybe that's not something to fix immediately. Maybe it's just something to look at carefully. Not knowing isn't always a gap. Sometimes it's the most accurate place to stand.